Rudolf Steiner's philosophy of freedom is a science of freedom. It is a step-by-step guide of psychological observations that will awaken free thinking and action. It is the hero's path of truth to reach our full potential as an ethical individualist, Steiner's ideal human being. One way to identify an ethical individualist is by their attitude. Ethical individualists carry an attitude of respect for the sovereignty of the individual. When they encounter disrespect for the sovereignty of the individual, it is upsetting to them. The first 12 steps to becoming an ethical individualist is about cultivating a respectful attitude or mood for this sovereignty. The original edition of the Philosophy of Freedom begins with a description of these 12 steps in the leading paragraph. In the opening sentence, Steiner tells us why ethical individualism is best suited for our age. Quote, "I believe I am right in pointing out one of the fundamental characteristics of our age when I say that, at the present day, all human interests tend to center in the cult of individuality. In our age, there is a strong fundamental urge for individuality, but the cult of individuality is fairly new in human history. Throughout most of history, the collective determined the thought and action of the selfless person from the outside. It wasn't until the development of clear thinking in the modern age that the autonomous individual self arose, capable of self-determination from within. Autonomous individual selves are capable of thinking and acting independently of other selves. The group consciousness of we evolved into the I consciousness of the individual. Each individual then bears the responsibility to form their own independent judgments. Collectivists prefer more central authority because they do not trust individual judgment. This authoritarianism can stunt human development. Overcoming the authoritarian oppression of collectivists is just one of the many challenges faced on the hero's journey. It is each one's destiny to leave the collective of ethnic identity and set out on the hero's journey to be transformed, empowered, and enlightened. The United States is a great place to develop ethical individualism because it is the most individualistic country. American values support many of the principles of ethical individualism. Collectivist cultures are the opposite of individualistic cultures. They favor the group over the individual. A proverb of a collectivist culture is, "The nail that sticks up gets hammered down." This is in opposition to fundamental principles of the philosophy of freedom, such as live and let live, and be true to yourself. The first step on the path of ethical individualism is cultivating the right attitude toward authority. Quote, "An energetic effort is being made to shake off every kind of authority." To shake off authority is to remove it or get rid of it. Collectivists have no problem submitting to authority. They conform to the group for security and guidance. Ethical individualists question every kind of authority, from an inner voice to an outer boss. One by one, the strings of authority are cut to allow greater freedom. Nothing is accepted as valid unless it springs from the roots of individuality. Collectivists accept nothing as valid unless its source is the experts and institutions supportive of their in-group. Ethical individualists, on the other hand, learn to trust the inner validation of their own insight. They do their own research and analysis until they are convinced of truth. everything that hinders the individual in the full development of his powers is thrust aside. Collectivists view success as dependent on external factors, such as the surrounding environment and culture, so self-development and personal responsibility is less important. What is important is to be a member of a powerful group that will force others to change in ways that will benefit the special interests of the collective. In contrast, ethical individualists depend on their own powers to achieve success, so they are willing to set aside distractions and prioritize self-development. This is why it is important to reward merit. Rewarding excellence encourages self-development. The saying, "Each one of us must choose his hero in whose footsteps he toils up to Mount Olympus," no longer holds true for us. The collectivist chooses a hero to follow. By obeying the leader, they hope to become wise and powerful like the leader. Unfortunately, they soon learn that the leader is just another weak human being like themselves. The hero's journey up the mountain is a solo climb. Ethical individualists must focus on reaching the top before they can help others find their way. We allow no ideals to be forced upon us. Each member is required to accept the ideals and beliefs of the narrow-minded collective. Dissenting views are considered a threat, as they could undermine group beliefs. Ethical individualists are broad-minded. They see a certain value in all ethical principles and viewpoints. Thought is given to each life situation to see whether one or another principle is more important. We are convinced that in each of us, if only we probe deep enough into the very heart of our being, there dwells something noble, something worthy of development. The collective believes that at the heart of every human being is something that is bad. Only if you are indoctrinated into the moral code and rules of the collective can you be redeemed and become good. Those in the outgroup who have not awoken are considered of less value. A deeper look into the core of the human being reveals the free spirit as the purest expression of human nature. It is this free spirit that is worthy of development and needs to be cultivated. A person who develops into a free individuality can be trusted to do good. They will act according to what they consider to be right. Ideals live within ethical individualists, not as rules to be obeyed, but as powerful forces that are part of their being. We no longer believe there is a norm of human life to which we must all strive to conform. Wanting to fit in, collectivists strive to conform to the group. Members can gain status by signaling their virtue to each other without actually having to do anything, by displaying moral outrage, or by expressing the correct opinion. Ethical individualists are self-motivated, without the need of approval from others, so they can just be themselves. We regard the perfection of the whole as depending on the unique perfection of each single individual. In a collective, each individual exists to serve the group. Each person is assigned a role as a cog in the machine in an effort to perfect the group. But a system is most likely to fail at its weakest link. Ethical individualists are more concerned with the developmental needs of each person. The group only exists to serve the individual. We do not want to do what anyone else can do equally well. No, our contribution to the development of the world, however trifling, must be something that, by reason of the uniqueness of our nature, we alone can offer. To bring change, collectives organize large groups of people to take common action. Members are encouraged to sacrifice their happiness for the sake of the community. Ethical individualists encourage the pursuit of happiness. The human being's greatest pleasure is to realize its highest ideals in life. Each of us has a unique talent and destiny. When individuals are encouraged to fulfill their unique destiny, the whole of humanity benefits. The ones who are actually creating a better world are individuals who develop their special talents as artists, entrepreneurs, inventors, and thought leaders. Never have artists been less concerned about rules and norms in art than today. Each one asserts their right to express, in the creations of his art, what is unique in him, just as there are playwrights who write in dialect rather than conform to the standard diction grammar demands. The creativity of the collectivist is limited to what is acceptable according to the established group rules and norms. It is important not to offend anyone, as the harmony of the group is more important than creativity and diversity of thought. The collective mob demands censorship and cancellation of anyone expressing views outside the approved narrative. You will find ethical individualists standing up for free expression and diversity of viewpoints. Truth can only be reached by looking at things from all sides. No better expression for these phenomena can be found than this. They result from the individual's striving for freedom, developed to its highest pitch. Striving for individuality is actually striving for freedom. Striving for the conformity of collectivism is actually striving for bondage. Collectivists live in bondage to the group leadership. A group doesn't have ideas and intentions. The common goal of the group is set by a few leaders who the others follow. The leaders may even be unknown, hidden behind the money trails or ideology that is driving the group. Ethical individualists are self-motivated by the drive to be free. They are the ones that are fighting for the dignity of individual rights, equal opportunity, and rewarding excellence at every turn. We do not want to be dependent in any respect, and where dependence must be, we tolerate it only on a condition it coincides with the vital interests of our individuality. All of us enter the world completely dependent on others. A collectivist who remains dependent is not making progress toward becoming a fully developed, responsible human being. The collective will forever be dependent on ethical individualists to provide the new thinking and innovation needed for social progress. To censor and cancel free thinkers is to threaten the life of the collective itself. Ethical individualists live within your midst. You will know them by their attitude on these issues.